Imagine what we could accomplish if we focused our view on the horizon and thought together of what was possible by putting our attention and our resources in the right hands.
Our people are so talented, so creative, so hardworking. But in order to unlock all of that potential, we have to be willing to listen to community.
As we go, just try to make sure that your seeds aren't getting too close to the edge.
And we as natives, we manage our forest areas.
Trust-based philanthropy, I believe we've always had it in our communities. We've always believed in one another to do good work and support each other.
If a funder or philanthropist is interested in addressing a challenge or an opportunity in a community, it must be informed by the people who are experiencing the challenge or the opportunity.
You know, putting trees back into Mother Earth, and especially on the reservation, feels good because nobody else is doing it here.
Yo quiero trabajar este año con abono orgánico. Quiero ser una jabonera, pero tengo que empezar a trabajar con abono orgánico.
And it's the same thing in industry, in business, in philanthropy. And so how do we just call a time out and stop and listen to the ecosystem that we work in and figure out what do we actually need right now?
Yeah, we're in a desperate time here. We have been for the past, 30 years due to this climate change, due to we as human beings doing things that isn't healthy for the environment or for ourselves.
I think that there is a lot of fear in philanthropy around making the wrong grant, about doing something where it could be revealed that this money went the wrong place. It wasn't used the way that it was supposed to be used. And that fear, I think, is what drives the traditional way of grant making.
One of my frustrations a lot of time with other funders, especially ones who, well, we want data-driven philanthropy. But you're creating a system of grant making where people don't want to share what hasn't worked because they'll get penalized.
This work is built on relationships, and that's something that we talk about. In our traditional ways, we sit down, we have meals, we share meals, and it's hard in this Western world where we're constantly trying to fit everything into a 30-minute or a 60-minute meeting. But what we've recognized is we have to invest the time in building relationships.
One of my big frustrations always in philanthropy over the years was urging foundations to see relationships and relationship building as measures of impact, and to recognize that's a foundational piece of change.
There's an overemphasis on the strategic capacities and the wisdom of donors, and there's a de-emphasis on the strategic capacities and the wisdom of organizations and communities.
A corn stalk cannot grow overnight. A baby cannot grow overnight. You have to have that growth and the time it takes to get something that is healthy and that is grown. And that's what we've learned as Pueblo people in farming and maintaining our way of life.
What do we really lose by giving more control to people fighting for their survival? The communities we work with at Trees, Water, and People are facing challenges that are centuries in the making. If those problems will outlive us, so must our solutions.
The most difficult one is when you see good projects end only after a year because they're not able to get additional funding.
We've had instances where funding fell through last minute, and we had to suspend a crew because we didn't have additional work, additional project to send them to. When we suspend a crew, it means that they're not getting income for the week or multiple weeks, however long that is. And that's a real impact. A lot of our participants, they're not looking for some experience that just happens to be paid. They're looking for employment, they're looking for jobs, they need to put food on the table, they need to pay bills. A lot of our participants are parents, they have spouses, they have parents themselves or grandparents or family members that they're caring for and taking care of. So when they don't receive that income, it has a huge impact not only on them, but their family.
For us, it's also a preservation project. We're preserving a lot of our areas that we have considered ancestrally, important and sacred to us. We're not doing it for us now, we're doing it for our future generations.
If an organization has the freedom to make choices on how to use the funding based on the needs that come up, inevitably and inherently that allows them to be a stronger organization rather than focusing their energy on one designated project that has designated funding. It allows them to take a bigger picture look at their work. That to me is inherently more strategic and impactful.
It's not just one thing. It's not just a silver bullet. We're taught it's a lot of hard work to be Pueblo people. And we're taught that it's not necessarily the end product. It's about the process.
We're 11 years old now, and along the way, through listening to our partners, we learned very early on that general operating funds was important to the nonprofits.
Multi-year funding is incredibly beneficial to our program. It allows us to plan years in advance as opposed to constantly sort of scrambling around to secure enough project work and funding.
We love when we hear grantees tell us, I had these 4 different grants and your funding was like the grout that kind of held all the tiles together.
When I bring up the idea that I think we ought to focus on giving people general operating funds. If we trust them, if we like the leadership, they got to grow their staff.
And so if that's the case, why are we not doing a better job of taking care of the people?
Entonces el agua ya se desperdiciaba. Entonces el objetivo era de recaudar el agua y dar un mejor mantenimiento a las personas, ¿verdad?
If you trust the organization, why not let them allocate the funds where they want?
If we as a foundation are trusting communities, then communities are going to trust us.
Y como aquí ves, yo siembro algo y si vendo algo, ya es para mi bolsa o para la cocina, falta falta el otro, una libra de sal, una libra de cal, o no hay maíz, reunimos el piso, puedes comprar un quintal de maíz con los patojos, ¿va? Tengo mis muchachos yo ahí.
¿Y diría usted que se siente empoderada?
Sí, gracias a Dios me siento contenta por el apoyo que ustedes nos han dado, pues, la UCHE y las mujeres nos han apoyado bastante. Gracias a ustedes, ¿va? Que nos abrieron la mente.
I think trust-based philanthropy is one way to look at giving up power. But it's not just a giving up, it's an invitation.
I guess the best way for me to describe it, you do this work from your heart. And if you do it from your heart, then it expands and extends to everybody that you work with.
But I think really the North Star of all of this is to get to a point in our society where communities are recognized as experts, nonprofits are celebrated as essential contributors in our society, and donors see their role as really like uplifting and supporting and elevating that work. And they're no longer the main protagonists of the story. The communities become the main protagonist of the story.
We see so many difficulties and challenges that our young people are going through, that our communities are going through. And I think the opportunity to reconnect our young folks to the land can help us overcome and work through a lot of those challenges and provide solutions to a lot of those challenges. Creating safe spaces for our young folks to learn together, to work together, to grow together. That's definitely a way that we can address a lot of those challenges and issues and the healing that our young people need and our communities need.
Trust is reciprocal. When donors have trusted Trees, Water, and People to invest in what's most important, we've been able to extend that trust to our staff, our partners, and the communities we serve. create lasting change, we have to find the courage to rethink our roles and the courage to let communities guide our philanthropy. This is our opportunity. This is our invitation to you.